The holidays to me, music is definitely a big part of the holidays, even though I listen to it throughout the year.
You're so cute. You're so cute.
On this one Sirius XM radio channel, they said, for the holidays, all you need is Sirius XM Holiday and Mariah Carey.
The funniest thing is, as soon as you said that, there was a pit in my stomach, like, ugh. Yet, who dances and sings along every time it comes on? Me. So if the holiday season is something that you do love and it does bring you joy and lift your spirits, heck, have Christmas in July then.
If there is a song that you just love, enjoy it. Or if there's something that's compelling you to dance, or paint, or write poetry, or bake, you do you. Who cares? Tune in to you.
Tune in to you. Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays. Welcome to Simply Enough. This is Zachary and Elizabeth, and thanks for tuning in.
If you're liking our podcast, we'd love it if you'd share with your friends and family.
And then rate and review to raise our visibility and spread the message of enoughness.
We love you, and remember, you are simply enough.
Just as you are.
Period.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Simply Enough. I'm Mr. Zachary Leonard.
And I'm Dr. Elizabeth Ignacio.
And for those
happy
of you
holidays, everybody.
Holidays.
I always have to throw that in there because it always lifts my spirits to acknowledge that we're in the holiday season.
Well, it's even more for those of you that are listening that are not watching. We're both in red. We've got festive colors on too. And today it snowed in Chicago. I mean,
beautiful. It didn't in Hawaii.
It didn't? Shocking.
Beautiful.
I don't know that I've ever told you this, but we are avid listeners of Sirius XM radio in our house, and they now have all of their holiday channels. They have 5 or 6 or whatever. And the holidays to me, we've talked about them. Music is definitely a big part of the holidays. Holiday music, and quote unquote, when is it okay to start listening to holiday music? Even though I listen to it throughout the year. And I want to kick this off because this has kind of stuck with me. On this one Sirius XM radio channel, they said, for the holidays, all you need is Sirius XM Holiday and Mariah Carey. And then they started to play that Mariah Carey "All I Want for Christmas" song. Mm-hmm. And it took me back to a television show that I was watching about how controversial that song is.
The funniest thing is, as soon as you said that, there was a part of me like this pit in my stomach, like, ugh. Yet who dances and sings along every time it comes on? Me. So there's a huge part of me that's like, it's not the holidays without that song. It really isn't. Mm-hmm. But then there's a part of me that's still irritated with myself for liking it so much. I'm sorry, I interrupted. Go ahead.
No. I think we all have those things in our lives where we're just like, why do I like this and hate this at the same time?
And that's okay. Yeah.
But I thought, first of all, the answer to that first question is just what are your thoughts on Mariah Carey and that song, which has pretty much become the holiday song, right?
Yeah, actually, my son just told me a bit of trivia that apparently Mariah Carey, for how many years in a row, is the one who always ends a year with the number one song and begins the year with the number one song. Same song, but is always top of the charts because it is the holiday season. And yeah, so she, like it or not, she does have the holiday song, and she reigns supreme. How do I feel about it? Like I said, it's not listening to it. Whenever it comes on, it always does put me in the holiday spirit, but there's just this inner part of me, especially because I love the traditional nostalgic songs, the songs of yore, like Nat King Cole's, the Christmas song, or Karen Carpenter's Merry Christmas, Darling. And then, of course, for me, at least in my faith and in my household, some of the Christmas hymns are really what the holidays are about. Yeah, I have this inner conflicted feeling of, why do I like this song so much?
I'm similar. Love Actually is one of my favorite holiday movies. And towards the end of the movie, they have, the little girl that's is the love interest of one of the other characters. She sings the song, and I'm like you, I start like moving and grooving to that song. And when it comes on, like in Target or wherever, you're out shopping and it comes on, like, I'm with you. It burrows into my brain and down into my soul. And suddenly I'm juicing along with her. And then I'm like, what? There's not that there's so much better music, but there's other music that I love that for some reason doesn't always hit me in the same way. And this isn't, for our listeners that love that song, you're totally okay. Like, we're in support of you. And for our listeners maybe that don't like that song, that's okay too. But I was reminded of that show that talked about how controversial this song is at the holidays. And I don't know, I thought that was kind of odd. One, that it's quote unquote controversial, like, can't you like what you like? But then for even Sirius to like build off of it and say, for the holidays, all you need is Sirius XM and Mariah Carey. It's like, really? But holiday music is so much a part of the holidays for me.
Absolutely. I'm one where I am, chomping at the bit, for the Friday after Thanksgiving, where it's going to be all holiday music all the time. That's the only thing I'm going to listen to between now and Three Kings Day, which in the Philippines, we celebrate the Christmas season to January 6th. I also know some people who start their holiday music extravaganza as of Halloween.
Oh.
And yeah. And, the more that I think about it, the more I just think whatever works for you, because if the holiday season, and not everybody loves the holiday season, but if the holiday season is something that you do love and it does bring you joy and it does lift your spirits, heck, have Christmas in July then. Or, if the holiday season is a time that one feels more aware of one's blessings, one's gift, more in tune with a sense of gratitude and joy, then heck, let's have the whole year of holidays.
I love that you said in tune too. I'm sure that was
I didn't even know.
But I'm really like music. I believe music hits that. There's a part of my soul that I think can only be tapped in with music. And I think that's irrespective of the holidays. I think it can, we look at patriotic music, for example. Like, there's a lot of patriotic music that's written to kind of evoke some kind of emotion, or even celebratory music, et cetera. And, I'm with you that there's something about holiday music in general that brings out aspects of the season that I love, joy and celebration and even humor. Like, some of the funnier songs that I grew up listening to, my dad would change the lyrics to some of them. And I just think of, when I hear those songs, I think of the times of growing up in my family around the holidays as well. And there's memories that are evoked with that as well. So, I like that you said in tune, because I really do think that is an important, that's an important aspect of music that is germane only to music, that can only pull or draw on you. You know what I mean? In a way that maybe other arts-based ideas or visual arts, cooking, whatever, could do. But there's something special about music for me.
And for me as well. And what you're talking about in terms of being in tune with it is what resonates with you.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what truly happens in music. Like if you have a tuning fork and you put it next to, let's say, an open grand piano. And if the tuning fork is the exact same note as the note that's being played on the keyboard of the grand piano, when you hit the note on the piano, the vibrations actually resonate with that same tuning fork, and then the tuning fork makes the sound. That's what resonance is when one is in the same kind of alignment and vibration, literally. And so music can resonate and move a person. But to your point, there are those that just kind of don't really dig music and music doesn't move them. But a painting, a painting can move them powerfully, and that's what resonates with them. Reading a certain book or story or passage resonates with someone. So it doesn't necessarily have to be music per se where something resonates, but to be in tune with what moves you, what moves your spirit, what stirs your soul, what is the same vibration and frequency with you. It's a good time during the holidays to be aware of, what resonates, what moves one's spirit and one's soul.
It's so interesting that you say that. I was watching an interview with Bruce Springsteen on Howard Stern, and he was talking about how he picked up his daughter from the airport, and she gets in the car and she's super excited about Taylor Swift's new album. And Howard was asking him some questions like, well, what do you think about Taylor Swift and her work, et cetera? And Bruce handled the question beautifully. I mean, he was very respectful of Taylor Swift. But what was interesting, and to your point, was it kind of didn't matter because his daughter was so excited about the music, and clearly she was vibrating. She was resonating. That Taylor Swift's music was like really, it was hitting a part of her that, she just loved. And she wanted to share that with her dad. And so he kind of flipped it back on Howard Stern. He was like, it doesn't really matter what I think of the music. What I was getting to see was my daughter get so excited about this and then sharing that with her. And he's like, yeah, I mean, I like her music. I respect her as an artist, and I think she puts out great stuff, but that doesn't really matter. What matters is like what I got to know about my daughter in this moment. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And he got to see her vibrating, pinging, in tune, et cetera, for something that maybe doesn't hit him in the same way, but he got to see it alive in her.
Right. I mean, if we talk about things like, being in tune, attuned, resonating with the vibration and frequency, think of a radio channel, for example. So let's say you want to listen to, I don't know, I'm making up numbers now, 93.9. And so you change your tuner until it hits 93.9. And now you hear everything clearly and it's resonating with you because you're in the same frequency of 93.9. One doesn't necessarily vilify 101.9 or 95.7. So like what resonates with one person might not resonate with another. Mm-hmm. But what's important is to recognize for oneself, what am I attuned to? What resonates with me and for me? And no better, no worse. Mm-hmm. Just what are you attuned to? Mm-hmm. And then be aware of that though, and does that frequency, does that channel that you are tuning into serve you well? Mm-hmm. So that's also where you listen to, okay, well, in this, tuning into this frequency, I'm surrounded by, negative voices, negative songs, negative words. How is that serving me? Perhaps in recognizing that this channel that I'm attuned to right now in my life isn't serving me well, though it's resonating. Perhaps let me look to see and find another frequency with which I can align and tune my channel to.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I've never even thought about it that way. Like the idea of the radio tuner and as a way to tap into yourself and what you're thinking and feeling and what's resonating with you. And then also to be aware of it and then maybe intentionally change the channel. Yeah. Right. Food for thought there, because music is such a part of my life. And we've talked before, we both love to dance as well. So dance is as much an expression of where we are and what we're thinking, we're feeling in the same way. And they go hand in hand with music. And dance is another expression, I would say, where like there are pieces of me that just kind of come out only when it comes to dance that I love. But I can think of a number of times just right off the top of my head of where I was like, wow, I'm really melancholy. I was listening to a bit of music because I was in kind of that place and then perpetuated it by when I could have, if I felt like, okay, that's not really serving me now. Maybe I need something else, or I want to push myself in a different direction. I could have just changed my channel. I love that. I never even thought about that.
And to your point, in terms of dance, for example, and in talking about what resonates with others, and not to vilify what resonates with others, it is what it is. To your point about dance, I mean, for me, dancing, when there's some sort of song, rhythm, music that hits me, I move and I can't help it. That's just what my body does. And that's for me. And that's not necessarily for others.
You know, I brought up dance, and one of the reasons why I brought it up is because I also saw this video on my Instagram feed. It was actually, I would say, a very beautiful video. I think the intention behind the video was not so beautiful, but it was nice to see in the comments and actually internally, like, if flip it a little bit. So it was a video taken of somebody at a concert. And I want to say it was, I can't remember whose concert it was, but it was taken. This person took a video of somebody else who was just dancing his tushy off, just standing up and just boldly dancing like he was the only person in the room. And it didn't matter that he was in a stadium of tens of thousands of people. And I think the intention of the video was to somewhat tease or make fun of that person. But what was super cool is that the comments were like, "Go you, buddy, great moves," or like, "I love that you're, you know, loving the music and you're shaking it and you don't care who's around." And I'm like, yes, that actually is the point, is that he is so connected with himself and is so in tune with himself. And he is loving where he's at and the music and how it's inside him. And he wants to express it that way, and was just boldly being himself, and he didn't care. And then to have people, not that he needed it, he clearly didn't, but to have the people applaud him and to interpret that moment purely for what it was, which was an acknowledgement of a person who is in connection with themselves and just being proud of that, was super cool. And I got to be honest, first of all, his moves were incredible. I was like, oh, I'm definitely going to steal some of those moves. And two, I watched it as I was walking around shopping, and I could feel myself like kind of get a little lighter and start to dance. And then as the music is playing in the store, like I'm kind of moving a little bit too. And I'm like, yeah, that's me. I like to move. I like to sing. I like to dance. I don't really care who's around, much like that guy. So he inspired me to kind of shed a little bit of those like embarrassment, you know, feelings, and be like, no, like, be yourself, be out there. Who cares?
Yeah. The funny thing, Zachary, about your story is like, it's such a fabulous story. And I'm so glad that if, and though that video might have been made actually to kind of like point out or make fun or shame or whatever, that actually there was a positive to it, to the way that you view it, and the way that people commented. Because I got a little triggered, and I actually got immediately tearful because, let's just say, been there, done that for me, because music does move me, and moves me so like I can be and have been in a symphony orchestra performance, and I will, you know, and everybody's dressed up and it's quite formal, or even an opera I've been, and my companions that have joined me like say that they watch me and I like move to the music and close my eyes, because that's just that's how God made me. Like that's how that's music truly resonates with me. I do have, you know, classical piano training, but it can be rap, hip hop. It doesn't matter. Just music, beats, rhythms move me. And anyway, I got kind of triggered, tearful, because I've been there, done that in terms of being questioned and being shamed. There's actually a couple. Sadly, there isn't just one. There's a couple of incidents where that happened. One very recently, where on the 21st night of September, I posted on Facebook for that September song, that Earth, Wind, and Fire. And I posted it for my daughter and my friends, where I wasn't taking myself seriously, obviously, because I was dressed in 1970s outfit, and the music was blaring, and I was just letting loose. And you even thought that I choreographed it, and I'm like, no, it just comes out at the moment. And it was like joy and silliness and fun and not at all a performance, other than to like make my daughter laugh as she's watching this video and make my friends laugh. And a friend of mine, and I make this point that the person that commented is truly a friend of mine, is so loving and supportive. So I know that there was nothing negative meant by the comment. But my friend posted and said, Elizabeth, you really need to be more extroverted. And I felt upon reading that, this instantaneous, like reflexive, oh my God, make myself small. Do I delete this post? And I felt shame. And whether or not she meant that, I just know I felt that way because I have felt shamed in the past. So that harkens back to, back in college and dance musical theater. And I did choreograph the dances, for, cheerleading, and because it just comes naturally. And I don't mean good or bad, like I'm good at it. Or I'm just saying dance comes naturally. So there's this on-campus gathering place called the Pub. And during the day, it's a sandwich place, but at late night, it becomes its own kind of bar gathering place. And there's a small little stage, because also during the day, sometimes they have, musical groups or, live entertainment. So there's a small little stage. And at the Pub late night, it's not uncommon because it's packed, because since it's after hours and the rest of the bars are closed, a lot of the students gather there at 1:30, 2 p.m. at night. And music plays and it's often packed. And so there's a stage and I'm often on that stage with other people. So it's not like I'm the only person there. Okay. But there's other people there on the stage and they're all dancing. But yeah, I also am dancing and I'm moving and grooving. And I know that there was this group of, we call them the BPs, the beautiful people, who it got back to me that they talked a lot of smack about me. Like, who does she think she is? And why is she always there? And she's trying to, always get attention. And I'm just like, that is not why I'm dancing. I don't care who's looking at me. I'm not dancing for other people. This isn't a performance. I'm just loving the music, and the music is making me move, and I'm having fun. Like, why do you have to, why do you have to judge me that way? And ironically, the proof of how music moves me to the point where it's not a performance, it's not for others, is my form of exercise, back in college, actually, other than cheerleading and all this kind of stuff, was I would take my boombox, back in the day, this was in the 90s, boombox, walk across campus to the field house where they had workout equipment, stuff like that. But I would take the dance studio room by myself and just hit play on my boombox, and I would let loose and dance for an hour by myself. Like, that was my workout. That was my release. That is no different than somebody's release wanting to run 10 miles a day. Good for them. This was my release. This is what resonates with me. This is what lifts my spirits. This is what releases energy. And that's just what resonates with me. And yet those who might not feel comfortable with themselves, or might not feel that they can dance well. I don't care if you can't, dance. This isn't a comparison. This isn't a performance. This is just what resonates with me. And this is just how my spirit moves. There is no days of social media, but I could have easily been that person in that video who was just totally having fun and enjoying and letting loose. And honestly, I bet you that person, if in any way was aware of other people, might not have been aware, but if in any way was aware of other people, was encouraging and wanting other people to dance. Because I know that's what I do. I mean, I love in dancing, grabbing other people to get them to dance and get them to let loose and not be aware, be the younger listeners and viewers won't know this, but be the Elaine of Seinfeld, who has the Elaine dance, who honestly, has the confidence of a Broadway dancer, but like the talent of, like the clunkiest person ever. But the way Elaine danced with such confidence and joy, let's all be like that. It's not about performance and it's not about judgment. Just let the spirit move you, move that radio dial to whatever you are attuned to and whatever is your frequency, and just let loose.
Mm-hmm. And I just want to say to you, you were that person. So as just a counter perspective, I watched the video of you, and I know other people did. I watched the video of you. I got so much joy. I got so much excitement and celebration. And I also felt myself wanting to move. So you were inspiring to me. And it's, I think, in the same way that gentleman was inspiring to me and others as well. So I think, yes, there are those comments that can kind of pierce through us a little bit and hit us and just stick with us a little while. But just to also be a balance, you were that person. You were that person for me because I know you were. And I myself watched that video probably 5 or 6 times because one, I was so impressed with your dancing, which I know is not the point, but I was so impressed with your dancing that I thought you choreographed. Not choreographed.
I know. It was just me.
Which, I mean, just goes to show how freaking good you are. Excuse me, but I know,
it wasn't to impress.
It was like, it wasn't. And all those the things that you intended it to be for your daughter, really, and for yourself, you gave to me. So I'm sorry for you that comment happened, but I honor you and I honor your intentions and what you did. And I can say that I was the recipient of those intentions because you had those effects on me. I was smiling. Like I said, I watched it a couple of times. I myself started dancing, and maybe I was like, oh, I learned a few moves and I want to try that. And then I got to
it was with the spirit of laugh with me. Like, again, it wasn't to impress and it wasn't to perform. I mean, I looked ridiculous. I was in this big orange 1970s big collar, it was a joke. It was like it was a joke. It was all in fun. And yeah, so thank you for getting the spirit of what that was, what dance can be. Dancing isn't always a performance. Dancing is just as much of a letting loose and a releasing of energy as it is, running for exercise. If that's one person's church is running for exercise, and that's how they release their burdens and release their energy and feel free to let go, fantastic.
Yeah.
That's what music can be. That's what dance can be. Yeah. That's what being in the zone of painting can be. Being in the zone of baking can be, like you've talked about in previous episodes. Whatever one is attuned to, why judge other people's channels?
Amen. And if I can build on that, we've talked in previous episodes about speaking your truth and living your truth. When you really know who you are and you're grounded in that place, there are opportunities for you to connect with another individual and share that with that person. So not only were you so grounded in that, you shared you with us. I mean, you shared with your daughter, but you shared you with us. And that was such a tremendous gift to me. I don't want to speak for anybody else because I know that is true for me. I got to know you better, right? And I got to see authentically you. And like in the same way that gentleman that was, that was dancing, or Bruce Springsteen talking about his daughter, like you really get to know another person in such a beautiful way that I would say that comes out through vehicles like dance or cooking or poetry or music. And so not only were you in alignment with yourself, but then you connected with us, or you put out the connection. I just want to thank you for giving us that opportunity.
And you don't have to. Thank you. Thank you for that very generous acknowledgement, love. And, one doesn't have to, like we talk about what channels other people and then why does there have to be a judgment of anything, right? So for example, I will be the first to admit, I don't quite get contemporary modern art sometimes, or even Picasso, for example. I don't quite get Picasso's artistry. Like I am the more obvious, the Rembrandt, the Leonardo da Vinci. Do you know what I mean? Like it's pretty obvious. So the modern art, contemporary art, I don't quite get it. Do I therefore minimize the value of Picasso? No, just because I don't get it doesn't mean that there is no value there. And so if a piece of art, a certain book, a certain song doesn't resonate with me, that's not for me to judge when it resonates with somebody else.
Yes. And I would say, if you are open to listening, which is another thing we've talked about, you can learn about why it matters to somebody else. And so what I want to share is, a friend of mine is a award-winning film producer, director in New York City, just probably one of the most special men that I've ever known in my life. He shared with me a link to a music video that he's been working on with animation. So he's been working on how to do the animation and everything, which to animators, like, kudos to you, because that is an incredible art form that is just time intensive and everything. So he shared this music video with me that he's been working on. And to be honest, I didn't get it. Like, I didn't really understand a lot of the themes as it tied to the music and everything, but it didn't really matter because I don't know this part about him, and he was willing to share, and I wanted to know more. So rather than coming from a place of like, well, I don't get it, to your point, and judging it, it was like, stop and take a pause. Your friend is opening up themselves and sharing themselves with you. Like, that's really the beautiful thing that's happening there. So spin it and come from a place of curiosity. And I got to say, well, I'm just curious, like, what you're most proud of. And I'm curious what didn't make it in the video that you really were bummed that you wanted it to go in the video. And what is the message you would like, people to see? So it didn't really matter what I thought or didn't think of it. It was that I saw an opportunity to know more about a person that I care about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, to your point, the judgment. Yes. So if we can suspend judgment and then also maybe reframe how we look at it, we can see an opportunity to see another individual based on how it resonates with them.
Again, it's just like, changing that tuner, changing that dial on the radio station. One doesn't have to be, oh, gross, that's 93.9 on my way to 95.7. Like, why vilify? It could just be like, I prefer 95.7. That's for me. 93.9 works for that other person. Like, if we look at kind of life and people's opinions and choices and preferences just as that's what resonates with them, that's what they're attuned to, that's where they feel most aligned and channeled to that channel, then we can all coexist.
As you were talking, there's a song by John Denver that he wrote a long time ago called A Baby Just Like You. And I think it's John Denver Christmas or Rocky Mountain Christmas, something like that. At the end of the song, he sings, "Merry Christmas, little Zachary. Merry Christmas, everyone. Aww. Merry Christmas, little Zachary. Merry Christmas, everyone." And my mom, when I was younger, would say, "Oh, he wrote this for you," and I eventually knew that he didn't, but I still loved the thinking that it was so personal. Now, this is a song that I think, upon maybe first listening, it's a rather simple song and, not on the caliber of a Mariah Carey or whatnot, but there's something deeply personal about that song for me. And there's something deeply personal about the video that you created for you and also for your relationship with your daughter. To your point about what you were saying, we don't know that. Like, we won't necessarily understand the layers of what resonates with people or what people are attuned to. Even more so, we shouldn't judge because we don't really have any idea of like what's behind why this is so valuable to them, why it's so important to them. And what's beyond that could be so fascinating to learn and to know or to appreciate, or even if we just assume that there's something there, even more so we suspend judgment. We may never know what that story is, but it doesn't really matter because that works for that individual. It may not work for us.
And channels change and preferences for channels change too. So it's not that we are stuck at one channel and we have to dig deep and stay at that channel for one's life. That channel doesn't have to define you or me or another person. If we kind of look at ourselves, each other, and life in general and life experiences more in terms of, let me try this radio station. What's going on in this, on this channel? I think that it would be a much richer experience, because we then are exposed to all kinds of different frequencies with which to resonate, and preferences change, and
preferences do change. And I will say specifically regarding holiday music, which is where we started, I ebb and flow with Mariah Carey's song. There are some seasons when I'm like, no, thank you. And then other seasons when like, I can't get enough of it. And
or different times in the same season.
Yeah, exactly.
At the beginning of the season, it's like, yeah, I dig this song. And then by the end, it's like, okay, Happy New Year, everybody. When is this going to be done?
One of the holiday songs that I often listen to, there's a Christian artist, singer named David Phelps, who I believe has just an incredibly beautiful tenor voice, and the ways in which he sings, I'm just mesmerized every time I hear him. But he has a version of Oh Holy Night that he sung live.
One of my favorites.
First of all, the song already is one that I enjoy. I love the drama of the song, right? There's this build. I also love that it's kind of melancholy and there's something intimate about it. But then I also love the faith aspect of it as well. So there are a lot of pieces of the music that I love. But obviously I really like the big high note too. There's something about that just like kind of gives me goosebumps, or chicken skin, as they say in Hawaii. But David Phelps in particular, because he's such a gifted vocalist, and he's so trained with his range, he's able to hit that note, but like higher than most men in particular ever hit it. And I want to say it's like, often it's most men sing like an A or a B flat. So something pretty high. And he sings like a C sharp, which is like, wow, 3 notes higher than that. And it's just jaw-dropping, and it captures, like I said, the drama of the song, and it captures the mood of it. And then I just I feel it, right? I feel it kind of everywhere, and I love that feeling.
And I love that you said that, because that's what music is supposed to be, is that you feel it. That's what art is supposed to be. You feel it. Whether it's music, whether it's the written word, whether it's visual art, it's that you feel it. And
then, in the comments on YouTube, they'll be like, well, so-and-so sings this better, or so-and-so sings this better, or David Phelps is the best. And I kind of like, to our point about this entire episode, is it doesn't really matter. Like if you feel it, and this song and this singer has evoked something in you, or brought out something in you, that's all that it needs to be. It doesn't need to be a competition, because the other person can sing it in a way that's just as beautiful in a different way, or it, pings you in a different way.
And like honestly, what's argument. What's the end game of like, who's better anyway? Like okay, you feel better now putting that on a YouTube comment, like, you know what I mean? Like, ding, ding, you win. There's nothing to be gained by who is better than the other. When what we're talking about is what song, what music moves the person. And it's just so funny, sometimes if people get asked like, oh, what's on your playlist right now? Or, or what's your favorite play? And I don't have one, and I don't think I'll ever have one, only because I like all genres of music. So I literally love me a little country. I actually love classical music. Rap, hip hop, that just gets my body moving. Then of course there's, the pop songs that just get me, dancing. Like there's a little bit of everything and everybody, if they're just aware. And that's just where, again, back to imagining that the radio, and there's just a ton of different channels at one time. So just what are you going to tune into at that time?
I think that's a great message for us when we think about holiday music, and just music or anything in general that speaks to you, that hits you. And there's room for all of those things. So, this holiday season, if there is something about a song that you just love, enjoy it. Or if there's something that's compelling you to dance or paint or write poetry or bake, you do you.
You
right?
do you.
And who cares? But if you are in a space with somebody that is open to it, maybe consider also sharing yourself with them. and sharing why. If you even know, sometimes you don't even know. You're just like, I don't know why I like this song the way that I do, but I just do. Okay, that's okay too. But just think of Bruce Springsteen as his daughter and how much he got to know his daughter even more because she wanted to share with him what speaks to her, what hits her. And much like you, when you shared with those of us who were fortunate enough to see that video, like that was inspiring to me. And I also got to know more about my friend. Yeah.
Yeah. So this holiday season and moving into the new year, there are those who don't like the holidays. So, okay, fine. Look forward to the new year. Think about, get in touch with, recognize, be aware of what resonates with you. What is your song? We talked about walk-up songs before. What song, what channel resonates with you? What medium moves you, moves your spirit, moves your soul? And enjoy.
I love it. Tune in to you.
Tune in to you.
And remember, you are simply enough.
Just as you are. Period. Happy
Bye-bye.
Holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Sing your songs, everybody. Sing your songs.
Yeah, out and proud.